Welcome to another edition of Somehow We Manage. And you'll see right now I've got my normal get up on, but as we get to the interview portion of this episode, I am going to dress down a little bit, which is not the norm, but it was a request by my guest today, and I wanted him to feel comfortable. So speaking of my guest, Mr. Jaylen Fornes, he and I go way back to my UNCW days, and we're going to talk a lot about basketball today and even break down some of the game's most heated debates. I also want to give Jaylen Fornes' clothing brand a shout out, Stack Your Days. You're going to want to go check this out. It's a lifestyle brand, and everybody you see 10 years from now walking up and down the street will be wearing Stack Your Days, and you need to be a part of it. It has a great message behind it, so go look him up and give him some love at Stack Your Days. Don't go anywhere, folks. Stay right where you are. We've got another great and exciting episode here at Somehow We Manage. My guest today on Somehow We Manage, a good friend of mine. This is the guy I think of when I hear the word hooper. This is a basketball guy. He is an encyclopedia of basketball knowledge, and I'm excited to have him on today. My good friend, Mr. Jaylen Fornes. Fornes, how are you?
I'm good, brother. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, an honor. It's an honor. So I mean, a lot has changed in your life since you and I have spoken last. Maybe those who are catching up with you on this podcast. So catch us up, man. I mean, is basketball over? Has the basketball world seen the last of Jaylen Fornes?
So as of right now, I have definitely put the game on pause. As of a couple months ago, I considered it a retirement. As of recent, I've kind of started to miss the game. But for right now, I took a transition in my life. I stepped into the corporate America. I got me a career path job. I got an opportunity at a job that I like. And for right now, my plan is to continue to stay there and, build my career, build my wealth, and, have an opportunity to take care of my family.
So tell us about this new job, because even I don't know about this. I'm learning about this like the rest of the world is. So catch us up. What's this new career path?
So I had my brother's best friend worked at Enterprise, and he had been talking to my brother for a while about how interested they are with athletes and how they have a great training program and how they like discipline and it's a growth from within process, and they reward people who perform. So were all things that I was looking for, just coming from the athletic world. It was the same. It's the same process. If you perform, you're rewarded. If you don't perform, you don't see the success that you want. So I work at Enterprise, and he put in a good word for me. I did the interview process, which was a bit of a shock to me because they take it extremely serious.
Yeah.
And I felt that they were evaluating me through. It's 3 rounds of heavy evaluation. They ask you some deep questions you got to be able to answer. And so I've had that opportunity, and everything's been going well. I've been performing well, and it's a lot like sports. You put in your work, and you're rewarded if you do well.
So, I mean, and I ask people this question all the time: if they get out of athletics, how different are things? Because the real world moves so much slower. I mean, every other profession, there's nothing like the world of athletics. And it doesn't matter what your job is. It's so fast-paced, so competitive. So, I mean, that sounds good to me. It does sound like, there's not this huge drop-off in terms of, the competitive nature and, it being fast-paced and all that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and something I learned and that I'm continuing to learn is like the habits you grow from the athletic world, they transition seamlessly.
100%.
You notice how those habits just transfer. So, I mean, you're around people and you notice that you're one of the hardest workers, and it kind of comes second nature. It's not like you're outworking it's not like you're overworking yourself. It just comes natural. And so, that transition has been easy for me.
Okay, so there may be some people watching this that think they're seeing you for the first time, and I'm saying you've probably seen Jaylen Fornes before because you had a viral clip a couple of years ago dunking on some dude. I'm assuming it was an AAU tournament, I think, because it was team loaded, right? And so Give me the context behind this clip, because this is like one of the biggest, high school dunks, of the last like 10 or so years. Everybody has seen this clip. Tell me about it.
Yeah, man, I was young. That was back in the days where I was real young and springy.
That was baby forms. That
I
was
weighed
baby
about
forms.
185, so it wasn't hard to get that weight off the ground. But I don't know, it's just one of them transition plays. And if you were around me when I was young, I was really athletic. I was kind of a daredevil. So anytime I had an opportunity to dunk the ball, I was trying to, even if it was a risk of injury. So um, yeah, that was just one of them things. And there were a lot that didn't get caught on camera, but whoever was there, I think it was Elite Mixtapes or something like that. They caught it, and it's gone viral quite a few times. It goes viral every so often. I get tags all the time. So I mean, it's a blessing that they were in there. So that's something I could show my kids, my grandkids one day.
So, and the thing I always think about with that video is you dunk on the dude. It was a little disrespectful for him, to be honest. You stared the dude down. I mean, you let him have it. But then there's this old lady in the background, like you just about knock her over, and she's kind of. Did you even see? I mean, in the heat of the moment, I'm assuming you didn't even see her there. You're just like, nah, I'm making a play.
No, I did not see grandma there, but she actually made the video. So if we're being honest, that dunk was second to her reaction.
So, I mean, what was your AAU experience? I mean, you were in Team Loaded. I mean, you were playing against some pretty high profile guys. I mean, you were a high profile guy. I mean, who were the ones that you remember? Like the guys that you were playing against. What was your AAU experience?
Man, I played on the Adidas Gauntlet, and things were competitive. I mean, we would go in buildings, and just like all the other sponsored events, you have 8 to 12 courts, maybe more, and you're just walking around court to court, just watching the talent. Um, so some guys that stood out to me was like Trey Jefferson. There's a guy named Mario Kegler. Played Jaylen Brown, Thon Maker. I played against Jason Tatum. Played against Harry Giles. So there's a lot of people that I ran up against in my path. And at one point in time, I played for the number one team in the nation. So my first year with Team Loaded, at one point we were number one. We ended up dropping in the second year. It was the same thing. So our games were always packed. I mean, it was kind of a shock to me. I come from a small town. I didn't ever see that opportunity for me, but just seeing people on the sidelines like Coach K, Coach Cal, and people like that, it was kind of a shock to me. But you know, us being the number one team in the nation, our court was always flooded. I mean, teams were coming to watch, fans and coaches. So, I mean, you would see like other courts completely empty while teams were playing, and our court would be completely full.
Now, who was the one guy that like gave you buckets that like you were like, dang, like this dude's killing me? Who was the one guy that you like gave you nightmares? Like who's the guy that you still think about? Like what's the one that sticks out?
The one that sticks out, we weren't matched up that game, but it's definitely Trey Jefferson. Like he has to be. I mean, he was small, he was quick, he didn't have a conscience. He made everything. I swear his layups were like 99. He didn't miss lays. So he definitely sticks out. Um, and yeah, he had to be the hardest to guard. I mean, I just couldn't get that low. I wasn't as fast as he was, and he could shoot it from deep. He had a crazy handle. If you ever go look at his mixtape, he's got like that kill car type handle. So I mean, at that age, he was unguardable.
So then what about just your normal high school experience? I mean, because you played Word of God, I mean, that's still big time basketball. I mean, here in the Raleigh area. How about your high school experience? When you're starting to get noticed, you're starting to get recruited. What sticks out as you look back on all of it?
And what really sticks out is like me taking the risk from leaving my hometown. I rolled the dice on myself, and I moved to Raleigh to pursue that opportunity to get a free education and some scholarship opportunities, and it worked out for me. So that's kind of the biggest thing, was like me betting on myself as a kid, me leaving my family, um, and not necessarily having like my mom in the picture of like my high school process up until my senior year. So I kind of rolled the dice on myself at a young age. and it paid off for me. But my, I came from a small 1A school with I don't even know how many kids graduate at the public school at 1A anymore. But I went to Word of God. My graduating class was like 26 people. Um, I mean, I was always in a smaller school, but Word of God, I mean, we had ups and downs, but it was a ton of talent through the door. By my senior year, we were pretty much on flights every weekend, and I got to travel. I got to see a lot of states and play against a lot of people, and like DeAndre Ayton. And it was a ton of talent in the league that I was playing. It was called like the grind session. Trayvon Duval.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a ton of guys that were in that. So it was good to play against that top level competition and put myself to the test. So betting on myself paid off.
And so what was your recruitment process like?
So I so when I got so I played for like a local AAU team. Then I had an opportunity to go with Team Loaded. I actually had like one offer going into that year before Team Loaded. It was from Campbell, or two offers from Florida A&M and Campbell. Um, and then I played with the number one team in the nation, so I had a lot of offers, kind
Yeah.
of by default. Um, and then so I played well that year. I picked up a lot of high majors that were really on the cusp of offering me. So I was like a mid. I was like the middle of like being high major and then being like a good mid major. So I had a lot of mid major interest slash offers, and then I had a lot of high major interest. So going into so finishing that first year with Team Love, I played really well. I kind of had like Tennessee, Georgetown, NC State, Virginia, and I was kind of banking on like the Virginia offer, but they gave it to Kyle Guy. I was second to him, and he took it. And then I remember going to Tennessee team camp. It wasn't a team camp; it was an elite camp, and I knew that they were recruiting me pretty hard. But I knew that I was high on their list. Like I was like the first name they called, and it was some type of deal going on, and that kind of validated for me. But I went there and I played terribly, so they kind of fell off. And then going into that second year with Team Loaded, I had got an injury during the high school year that put me out for the season, and I was so hungry to get back that I rushed myself back. And all those high majors that were interested, they just seen me a step slow. My stuff was getting beat off the glass. I was slow in transition, and they moved on as business goes. And so I was fine with that. And then I didn't really, I didn't like my role with Team Loaded. So I ended up leaving and going to a local team with one of my old high school coaches, and I performed really well. I mean, I finished the summer off playing at the highest level I had played, but I ended up finishing that summer with like 22 offers, and I had a lot of opportunity. And then I narrowed it down. Some of my best friends were going to UNCG. It was between UNC Wilmington and UNCG. Um, I had some higher offers, but I just really wanted to play. So it was kind of between those two, and then when I nailed it down between like opportunity to play and are they winning, both fell in the hands of UNCW. So I committed to Coach Keats and went down there.
So once you got there, because I mean, obviously there's that adjustment period, right? I mean, it's a huge jump. So once you got to UNCW, what were the biggest adjustments that you had to make, to the Division I level?
I mean, first and foremost was the weights. I was coming in a skinny kid. I was probably weighing about 192. I think by the end of the year, I was probably weighing about 205. Um, so it was that and the speed of the game. I mean, I just remember coming in summer session and I got thrown into the fire the first workout, and it was back to back and everything was moving fast and all the people were hitting shots and I wasn't, and people were blowing by me and people were being physical. I mean, I was gonna fight my way through it, but I was just thinking like, man, this is so much faster. This is a shock to me. So um, my body was sore. I was trying to figure out how, I'm gonna balance this out with getting in my extra work and things like that. So, and then just balancing out, like being disciplined, because obviously I was coming from a school where 20 people graduated, and I'm going to a college. I think the population at that time was like 13,000. So just being disciplined, and there's parties, there's things like that, but you gotta balance that out. So that was really my biggest adjustment.
Yeah, and it's funny thinking about this now, like, and I've seen those videos of you, like, when you were younger, and I was like, that's Jaylen Fornes. Because when I met you, I mean, you were at the tail end, like, you were the senior, you were the leader, you were older, your body had grown, you were the old man, right? And I mean, I saw you, and I was like, there's no way you were ever like that small, like, it's funny to talk about now. But there's that progression, everybody's got to grow. And then obviously, when I was with you, you were always the guy that could hit that nut shot at the end of the game. That was, even we still talk about this day. It's like, man, Fornes always had a big one in him, always. But so talking about conditioning, because you played for Coach Keats, who was at UNCW, very successful there, now at NC State. The conditioning stories from Coach Keats are legendary, because I've always heard he just runs guys till they pass out almost. So for you, like, you're a freshman, bright-eyed, and you're in this new world of college basketball, what was the conditioning like?
Conditioning was brutal. I was coming from high school where, I mean, all we did was play games. I mean, we practiced, but I mean, we're pretty much just scrimmaging.
Yeah.
And, I mean, now don't get me wrong. My senior year, like we did the 5 a.m. thing, and we grinded it out. But it was nothing like college. I mean, because you're going from summer session through the year, and then you start to accumulate real deal miles. Like high school miles and college miles are nothing even near the same. So, I mean, to give you an example, like he had a negative board, so a positive and negative board, similar to Coach Siddle. So, um, if you're giving up box outs, or you're getting blown by, or you don't got your hands up on a contest or something, those are negatives.
Yep.
And you get positives for offensive rebounds, or taking a charge, or an assist or something like that. So, as a young guy, those things can add up, because a little bit coming in, but you don't understand how tactical basketball is until it's at that level of like Xing out, and this is my closeout, and all right, I need to make sure I'm blocking out this guy, or all right, this guy got back cut, so I need to take up for his mistake and things like that. So those negatives can add up very quickly. And when I first came in, I used to be so confused, like, how do I have 13 negatives and the seniors have 0? And then, you know, uh, 13 negatives means 13 minutes on the clock. You finish the suicide in 32 seconds, and you have the rest of the remainder of the time to rest. So you're just continually doing this until the time is up. So one day I counted, and I had 42 negatives.
Oh my gosh.
Like 42 suicides, not 42 negatives. I didn't make that many mistakes, but he he also would make you run a suicide for every point that you lost. So I was on the second team at that time, and we lost by like 24. Then we ran it back, and we lost by like 15. Then I had to run my negatives, and that day I ran like 42. Then if you couldn't run your negatives, you do push-ups, and like one day I did like 500 push-ups, which was like crazy. But yeah, it was brutal. The conditioning was brutal.
And so, I mean, guys were throwing up like on the sideline. I mean, is all that true?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Me personally, like one day I came into practice, and we were practicing in the auxiliary gym, Hanover, but
Yeah.
so when they tape that gym, they don't tape it. They, in my opinion, it's not taped like the main gym. Like you're running further in that gym just because they feel like they got to tape. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But when you're running, you can feel it. So and then even when you're in the main gym, like as the managers, like they kind of help you out. But when you're in the other gym, they feel like it's smaller, so they don't have to stop the clock.
Yeah,
And things like
that is
that.
true.
So either way, we were in that gym, and all these things are going on. Well, I think I was young. I had went out and partied, and I came, and we had a long practice, and I'm coming in, I'm throwing up, yeah, and then like he would not we got in trouble either way. We probably had like 10 suicides to make, and some of the suicides I weren't making. So not making the time, but like I couldn't come out and run because I was in the middle of throwing up. He was gonna keep practice running. So for everyone that you missed, he like doubled them. So I would go throw up and I would come back and I would run. And I would go up, I would throw up, I would come back and I would run. Then at the end of the practice, I had like an extra 15 just because I missed a couple. Um, he made me finish them, and I was still like throwing up, running. But yeah, I mean, you had to get it done by any means.
So we talked about who were the toughest guys or who were the best guys in high school and AAU, but then you get to the next level. Who were the toughest guys you played against in college?
A couple guys coming to mind. One in particular, Justin Wright Foreman. He
He was
played at
tough.
Hofstra.
He was tough.
I mean, could get a bucket any type of way you want to get a bucket. He was athletic. He was a little guard. Um, so him. Then Grant Riller was really good. I mean, he was really talented. And in the same sense, like they had like an offense that was so tailor made for him, and like they would ball screen him. They would run flat screens for him. Sometimes they would set a ball screen and they would clear out the side from the rip baseline, and you were always on your toes because you just never knew
Yeah.
was he gonna reject. Was he using the screen? And he was great at splitting screens, so he was really good. Um, yeah, those two definitely come to mind. Jarrell Brantley was really good. Um, let's see. Nathan Knight from William and Mary was really good. And then yeah, as you know, like the normal guys from the high majors that they get paid the big bucks, like
Yeah.
Cam Johnson and people like that are
Yeah.
take care of their business.
So, a lot has changed. I mean, you kind of caught the tail end of it in college athletics, and everybody wants to talk about it. So I'm curious what you have to say. Transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff, and it's changing as we speak. But I'm curious what your opinion is on all this stuff that's going on right now in college athletics.
I mean, as we know, you know, college athletics is looked at as an amateur sport, but this is my take is like, if you decide you don't want to pursue college as just a normal individual, or if you go to college, you get paid a paycheck, and they don't consider your paycheck to be an amateur paycheck, no matter how old you are. Um, and then you have adults, legal adults that are 21 in college that they can drink like legal adults and whatever. So I just feel that they have the right to be paid off of their name, their image, their likeness. I feel like they should have the opportunity to pursue the opportunities that they're given, same as a regular 9 to 5 worker. If they find an opportunity, they should take it. If someone's willing to pay them, then they should take it. And I come in every situation is different, but you know, me personally, like I didn't come from a lot of money, so if I had the opportunity to take care of my family, um, I would definitely. I mean, by all means, I would do that. And like the tail end of my career, after I graduated, um, I was bringing in maybe because I was getting money from financial aid and stuff. And after you graduate, you don't get financial
Yeah.
aid. So on the tail end of my career, I was bringing in from Pell Grants maybe 1,100 a month, and 600-700 going to rent, and then I'm living off the rest for the rest of the month. So it's kind of hard to survive off of that.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're paying for a car, you got a phone bill, you're paying bills at the house, so you might be trying to survive off of $200 extra a month. And let's not hope that you get a flat tire or something. So and that doesn't account for groceries and things like that. So um, from the situation that I came from, I'm all for kids, bettering their opportunities. And if they have the skill, if they have, the background, and they're carrying themselves the right way, and a company wants to invest in them, then all means they should take it and have that opportunity. Same with finding a better fit for them, coaches and people with 9 to 5 jobs, things like that. When they get opportunities, they take them, and I feel like the players um, should have the same opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up, the ways that you struggle, because when we talk about these things, people only focus on like the high profile, the players with a lot of status. Like people are thinking about Armando Bacot at Carolina, right? Nobody's worried about Jaylen Fornes, who plays at UNCW, and he's like, hey, I got to pay rent, and then I've only got this little bit amount of money, and I got to make it work, And you got to think about these guys that are playing at Kentucky or Kansas, and they have every resource in the world. And we're like, hey, but we got to pay these guys. We got to pay these guys, but it's just like, I'm not arguing that they should or shouldn't be paid, but I'm saying there's guys at mid-major, there's guys that are playing D2, D3 who are going through all the hell that everybody else is. They're practicing on Christmas just like everybody else, and they're not seeing a dime. And if they are, it's very little. So I'm glad you brought that up. I always think about people that are at the lower levels, when it comes to stuff like that.
And their schedule is, I mean, you got to think as an athlete, you're scheduled. I mean, it depends on what your coach wants to do, but you could be up at 6 a.m. and you can go through your entire, your training. Then you got to make 3 classes during the day. Then you got to go get lunch. Then you might have practice for 3 hours. And by the time you look up at 6 o'clock, then you might got to get an hour of study hall in. And then you got to get home. You got to squeeze in homework. Then it's 9 o'clock, and then you want to work on your game. So it's 10. So this is not. It's even more than a 9 to 5. Like it's a 6 to 10.
Yeah, and you think about, like, you got homework to do, and people will complain if athletes don't make good grades, but you can't please anybody either way. But yeah, I agree. It's tough to fit that schedule. I couldn't agree more. So you make the jump yet again. You go from high school to college, and now you make an even bigger jump to the pros. You're a professional basketball player. You're living the dream. What were the biggest differences? What were those adjustments when you climb once more?
The biggest adjustment was like nobody's gonna ask you to work. Like in college, like somebody's always checking on you. Somebody's always making sure you're working. Somebody's always, kind of ministering you to do the right thing. But when you sign a contract, it's all on you. As an adult, you gotta make the right decisions. You're evaluated every day. You gotta perform. It's kind of, I mean, it's a cutthroat business. If you aren't, they'll get you out of there. I mean, I've seen people go and people come. I mean, you could have a new teammate in a week from now. You didn't even know that this was happening until yesterday, and so it's a change of mindset. And if you're not a worker, it shows. But just continuing to keep the habits that you build for yourself. Hopefully, you go over there with a worker's mentality, because nobody's going to ask you to work. And secondly, was the pace of the game. The shot clock goes from 30 to 24, so possessions are a lot faster. Concepts are a lot different. Actions are a lot different. It's not necessarily plays. Like you're not coming out setting up plays. You're just setting up actions. So it's a lot of read and react. It's a lot smarter. It's a lot more tactical. It's way more physical. You can get away with a lot of things. And just like knowing the little things, like you'll know who's a very, very intelligent basketball player, real quick. So, and you're playing with 30-year-olds. I had a 40-year-old guy in my league, and so you see the range from over there. That's what they do. They play club basketball. So it may be a 17-year-old who's just on the club team, who's probably trying to get a college scholarship and come over to America. He could be in the same league, or it could be a guy that's been in the league for 10, 15 years, and he's an old guy. He's got a family, and
Yeah,
it's way different.
So, I mean, you had the opportunity to play overseas. So not just basketball, but just life in general. What were the biggest differences, in living way across the pond and living in America? What were the biggest culture shocks for you?
Biggest was the food. As soon as I got there, I was eating the same types of food that I would eat over here, but I noticed that like I would be hungry in 30 minutes. And I was literally like asking my teammates, like, are y'all hungry all the time? Like me, like it's something wrong. But they were like, I mean, they were all in agreement, especially the Americans, like, man, that's just how it goes. Like the food is lighter. Um, It's better for you. It's not the preservatives that we have. Certain things in America are banned over there.
Yeah.
You can't get a lot of the products. So and so you're able to find out real quick because I went over there in shape. I was in really really good shape, and I went over there at 205. I played my entire college career at about 205, and I was in shape over there. And I was probably about 192, and I mean I had the same diet. I didn't really change anything, but it just shows you how different we take care of food over here versus over there. And then just the way of life is different. You see a lot. Well, in Denmark, I can only speak for that. So over here, it's a lot of even the way like the infrastructure is created. Um, there's a lot of bike lane. Well, we live in Raleigh, so it's not like really bike friendly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bike lanes. Everybody bikes. You 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 10-year-olds. Everybody's biking. It's cold. The weather doesn't really bother people. It's 6 degrees over there. People are happy. The sun goes down at 3 p.m. So you can get a little depressed if you let that get to you. Like me and my wife are literally taking vitamin D pills because the sun exposure wasn't like it is where I was. But the way of life and the people, obviously a different language. So um, every even in the grocery store, they don't give you grocery bags, so you have to come in. And they do that at Costco, I believe, but you got to come in. I would just bring a book bag, buy the groceries, throw them in the bag, and take off. And so it's a lot of different things that are just totally different that you never would think that you would run into.
So as I begin to wind this thing down, I want to pick your brain about hoops a little bit. So you're a big, excuse me, you're a big James Harden guy, and Harden gets a lot of hate. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity to defend James Harden because you love this guy. So I'm gonna give you the floor. And why do you love him? Why do you think he gets this hate? Why do you think he should get more respect? I'm gonna let you talk about James Harden.
All right, I think that we're in a time of life now where people's mentality is based off the media. So people don't even watch games. They go look at stat sheets and
It's
whatever
true.
the media is saying, they're going to follow. So before they even see 10 seconds of the game, they have already developed what they think that a player is like. You see it happen all the time. And you see these microwave mentalities of, a guy can play bad 2 games and he's all of a sudden a bad player. But
Yeah.
this is my thing or this is why I developed uh, or started liking James Harden because I never go for like a top dog, and it was great to see his progression. So he was coming off the bench at OKC. I was a I my favorite player of all time is Dirk Nowitzki. You probably don't know that, but
I
tell
didn't.
yeah, at the tail end of his career, I had to find somebody that I could pass the torch to, or that he could pass the torch to for me, and I could follow. So James Harden was coming off the bench at OKC. I seen his talent and I liked it. Then he went to Houston. I mean, the first game at Houston, I think he had like 45, 50 or something like that. So um, I immediately seen like, I mean, he's put in a position to do something, then he'll do it. And so this is a guy that, has, did he average a triple double? No, he didn't average a triple double, but he's led the league in assists. People talk about his defense. He's been number 2 in steals for a year. He went 30 something games with 30 plus points a game. He's got an MVP. I think he was robbed of an MVP one year, the year that one of the years that Steph won it. Ironically, he so happened to be born in the time where the best team ever created was assembled. Nobody beat that team. Only team that beat that team was the Raptors, and 2 of the guys went down. So that doesn't even count. So whether he met him in the first round or he met him in the Western Conference Finals, I mean, he just so happened to be going up against that team. He's taken a bad team to the Western Conference Finals. So he's been to the Western Conference Finals twice. He's been no, he's been to the Western Conference, yeah, to the Western Conference Finals twice. He's been to the finals once. He's got an MVP. But yeah, I mean, obviously now he's slowing his game down and he's taking a different approach. But I think he has a great body of work. And if you watch him, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some games that he hasn't performed in, but I think the playoff, him not performing in the playoffs is a narrative. Like if you look at the numbers he's performed, and it's not easy to make adjustments in the playoffs, but with that role that he had, like the Steve Nash role,
Yep.
um, it it was easier for teams to just send doubles and make him get the ball out of his hands and things like that. So I mean, you watch any player that's getting doubles, like they're gonna just make the right play. They're not gonna shoot out of triple teams and double teams and
Yep.
things like that. And I think people are just following the narrative. So that's my piece on that.
Well, hey, and I love that you actually threw some facts out there because, like you said, people will see what they see on Twitter or whatever, and they'll just say, "Well, that's the way it is." And so I appreciate you actually giving some concrete evidence there. I really appreciate that. Smart guy.
He doesn't get the same respect he does when he does something. Like he hit a game. I think he
Yeah,
hit
no, I agree with that.
winners
I would
against
agree with that.
Boston last year. Not the same coverage. He hit a game winner against Houston this year. I mean, no coverage, nowhere to be found. But just as soon as he plays bad, the coverage starts coming in.
Yeah, and I mean, the criticism of Harden is, like he quits on his team or whatever. And I guess, fans want I don't even know, they want this baby faced, like they want somebody that's kissing babies, shaking hands, that has this all perfect sunshine and roses persona, and Harden's just kind of, I mean, he's making business decisions, he's doing his own thing, so I guess he's not helping himself in that regard. But I agree with you. It's like he does have a good body of work, and stats do speak for themselves. I do agree with you on that. And I also love that you gave Dirk some love there. I didn't even know that Dirk was your all-time favorite. I mean, a lot of people say it, but I'm gonna say it again. Probably one of the most underrated players of all time. When you look at the full body of work and a top 10 all-time scorer. I mean, you think about the championship he won where he beat LeBron. That'll forever be his legacy. But just go back and watch his highlights. The dude, he was killing. I mean, from day one.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw, this is the big question. I mean, everybody talks about it, but I got to get your opinion on it. LeBron versus Jordan. Give me I have a feeling I know where you're gonna go with this, but I'm curious to know why. What's your LeBron or Jordan? Where do you stand?
Hold on. Where do you think I'm going with this? First off.
Well, I think you're a LeBron guy.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can only go off of what I've grown up on, and I've grown up on LeBron
That's fair.
since I used to watch YouTube highlights and with old Cleveland highlights, but I'm not a LeBron I'm not a LeBron stan, but I respect LeBron. He's got an amazing body of work to be doing this. What's he in year 21?
I don't even know. He's past 20. I know.
Yeah, so I mean, it speaks for itself, man. And same situation for him that I was talking about Harden. Like he went up against the toughest team ever assembled for one of those years. I don't think anybody would have beat that team. And I mean, I don't know. He just continues to do it. I mean, he finds a way. I mean, he hasn't averaged under like 25 ever or something like that. Like that's absolutely incredible. I mean, you look at the finals against the Warriors team. Like he led both teams in points and both teams in rebounds, assists, steal. It's like stuff like that. Like nobody does that stuff. So and I mean, Jordan is Jordan. I mean, you hear all the old folks talk about it, but I just didn't get to see it live, so I don't get the same nostalgia that people get.
Yeah.
And I think that is different. Like I think Jordan gets passes on certain things that people nowadays get flack about. Like people like they talk about players going to clubs and stuff before the or the night before games and stuff, but like Jordan's at casinos gambling at 2 a.m. Like if it's a different day and age, like he's getting media following him around, people are criticizing him, people are saying this and that. Like a lot of things would have went different, but we gotta live in his era, and he dominated his era, and I just gotta go with Bron just because that's who I grew up on. Not to say that anybody's wrong if they're picking Jordan. Just for me, this is what I grew up on. This is what I seen. So I'm just gonna stay with that.
Yeah, I'll tell you where I stand on it. So I don't know. I really don't like. I see it both ways. I really do. Like, and when someone's like Jordan, I'm like, well, yeah, he did do all that. And when someone says LeBron, I'm like, well, yeah, you can make a really strong argument for both. And so it's like, and both those arguments are so strong. It's like, how do you even really choose? I do
Yeah,
think that in the next 20 years or so, like when LeBron is looked on with the same rose-colored glasses that Jordan is now, like it's gonna be. I don't know that there'll be many people that say Jordan. I mean, like our parents will, the older generation that, that's still hanging around, they'll be, oh man, Jordan was the best.
yeah,
And he may be, but I do think he's going to have the benefit of that. There was a quote from Bob Costas that I always go back to, and I think it's why Jordan still just is overwhelmingly still, people still think he's the GOAT. Bob Costas said, LeBron may be equally as excellent as Jordan, but he'll never be as great. And I do agree with that. And the fact that he had that celebrity status back in a time before smartphones, before Snapchat, before, like you could see what someone was doing at any given moment on TV or whatever the case may be. I do think Jordan's celebrity, Jordan was like Michael Jackson or Elvis or the Beatles. Like your grandma tuned in to watch Jordan play. And I don't think in this day and age I don't know that we'll ever see another celebrity like that reaches that level. You had to tune in to see him, and everything he did was perfect. It was all wonderful, you know.
yeah.
And so, and LeBron, LeBron it gets into social issues, and so that's going to divide half the people right then and there. Someone's going to be mad, and someone's going to love him. Jordan was like, "Nah, I'm not messing with that stuff. I got money on the line, whatever."
It's about the era. It's about like
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like if Jordan was in this era, it would have went a lot different. Like
probably so.
he did some things that would have got different coverage, or somebody had their phone out at that time. I mean, it's just different now. And we got to give Brian his testament. The man's a billionaire. I mean,
Yeah,
that's impressive.
yeah, no, it is 100%. What does he make, like 45 mil a year, something like that? But no, yeah, I agree. But and like I said, I mean, I don't know who's better. I really couldn't tell you, to be honest. They're both. If you're a basketball guy, I think you just watch and appreciate it. Just
Sure.
appreciate what you're seeing, because it is in terms of just athleticism and the way he plays. I mean, you've never seen anybody like him, whether you're a Jordan guy or not. Okay, I got two more for you before you go. So one, and since we're on this subject, what's your all time starting five?
Ooh,
I love to hear this from people.
all time starting five. So I'm going Steph at my one.
I would go Steph.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I watched Kobe. I did not watch Jordan.
I thought that's where you were going. Okay, how about this? If it makes it easier on you, you can just do your top five. If you don't want to, have to pick over someone at a specific position, just give me your top five. If that makes it any easier on you.
Now I want to do the position. I want to do the
Okay.
position. I'm just like people can criticize whatever. This is who I watched. I'm not
Kobe
going to
Bryant.
put somebody in there
I get it.
that I didn't watch.
And I grew up on Kobe. I get what you're saying. I mean, he was the guy. I know exactly what you're saying.
But there can be better starting fives and better individual talents. But I didn't get the blessing of watching that. I'm talking about stuff that I watched live and stuff that I enjoyed and I'm able to remember. So I've got Steph at my one. I got Dirk at my two. Kobe at my two. I got LeBron at my three. I got Dirk at my four and Shaq at my five.
Yeah, I'm glad you put Shaq in there because I'll defend Shaq all day, every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Just in terms of like the athletic ability. I mean, and Shaq came forward and said he was like, no, I didn't care. Like I was a gamer. Like I wasn't going to do anything during practice, but like when the lights were on, like I give you everything. But so you just think like if he had the You know, the want to, the will, you know, putting in the extra work like a Jordan. I mean, if he had half the will to win that like Kobe had, he's the best player of all time. It's not even close. That's what I think about Shaq, because there's just a physical specimen. I mean, there's never been anybody like Shaq. I mean, he's what, 7 foot tall. He runs like a deer. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I say he's the most dominant.
Yeah, no question.
I think when I think like best players of all time, like I just think of all around game. So the fact that he just could not fix that free throw, like that's a part of the game.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And just being, I mean, just basketball skill, being able to do different things. But he's the most dominant of all time. Like nobody could stop him. But just from the standpoint of like best player of all time, which means you can handle it, you can shoot it, you can put your back to the basket, you know, you can move it out the ball, you're intelligent.
Yeah.
There's others.
All right, so my last one for you: top 5 arenas that you've played in.
All right, NCAA tournament we played in the Magic Center. I'm not sure what it's called, but
In Orlando
Magic.
Well, is American Airlines is Miami, isn't it? I'm trying to think because I feel like I should know. Isn't American Airlines Miami?
Yeah, I at least know it used to be American Airlines. It might have changed.
So where the Magic play? That's one of your It's one of your top.
Then LSU is pretty nice. I mean, honestly, like when you get to see the high majors, like they're all nice. Like they're not like eye popping. They're not like they don't make you, you know, feel like you're out of your body by any means. Let's see. JMU's arena is really nice.
Yes, very nice, especially for a mid-major.
Yeah. So I like JMU's. Honestly, people might not like this answer. I hated the rims and I hated the balls, but I loved the way that the arena was constructed and the color scheme in the court was Towson.
No, yeah, Towson had a nice. I mean, they have a nice arena. Yeah. It's hard for them to. They don't really keep it full, you know, as good as their program is. But if they could pack that place out, yeah, it would rock in there for sure.
And let's see. Man, I got bad memory. I don't even know where I played. I'll just chop it up with Wilmington. Like
oh well, come on, yeah, Trask. I mean, there's nothing like Trask, especially like on a Saturday night. Are you kidding?
Yeah, you pack that thing out. It's a real nice.
No, it is. What about like the Dean Dome? You played in the Dean Dome?
Not really. I just don't like the. I mean, the arena itself is nice, but I don't like the vibe in there. It's just like it's not like a real college feel to me. Obviously, they're a powerhouse, but it's just like older people in there. It's not very loud. It's kind of
wine
like
and cheese.
Yeah, kind of like a golf. Like you're gonna watch golf. Like you don't get.
That's fair.
Yeah. What's a nice arena I played at? I don't know, bro. I don't really get too caught up in the arenas.
Yeah. You're worried about the game. You're focused on the task at hand, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this, and I'll close on this. I tell people all the time. I ask about places I like to go. I really liked mid-major basketball because the arenas had way more character.
Yeah, they did.
You know what I mean? Like you go to a place. Well, obviously there's Trask. It's small. It's compact. The fans are great. Charleston's another place like that. It's right there on top of you. Like when those places are packed out, I mean, you can't hear the person next to you. I love Northeastern. It's like, and it's a hockey arena, and it's not pretty, but I'm just mean it's a historic. It's different. It's so different, and like there's ice under the court. It's the original home of the Boston Celtics. Like just places like that have, like I said, have character. There's a story there. It's so different from what you're used to. And so you compare that to like you said, what JMU has, which is awesome. It's a wonderful arena, but it's different. There's history there. There's a feel there, and as like as a history guy, as like, you know, just a basketball, just a, you know, a junkie or, you know, whatever, like loves trivia and stuff like that. Like things like that are interesting to me.
Yeah. So are you asking like toughest places to play as well, or are
Well,
you
I
saying?
mean, that's up. I mean, yeah, if you want to go strictly the toughest, I'm sure the list might be a little bit different.
So we played at St. Bonaventure my freshman year, and that place was
An
rock.
incredibly underrated place.
That place was crazy.
And it's
Um,
right on top of you, is it not?
mhm,
Isn't it kind of set up like that?
yeah. Um, Another place that was tough to play. Charleston gets pretty loud, but I never considered Charleston like tough to play. I thought that there was a obviously there's the rivalry there, but I didn't feel like I felt like the rivalry did it more than what the fans did. Um, what was a tough place to play? Mm, well, when Justin Wright Foreman was there, Hofstra was pretty. It
Yeah.
wasn't like rowdy, but they did have like a student section that was kind of disrespectful, especially when my one of my point guards, Jordan Talley, was at Wilmington for a while, and he had a pretty big name around the conference. I mean, they were on him crazy. They were on him crazy. Um, uh, where else was tough? Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. But yeah, bro, I had to go look at where I played.
All right.
Played
Well,
two.
and when I'll say this about Charleston. So when you played there, they probably weren't quite as good as they had been in years before. But this past year, when they had like a historic season, they won like 30 some games. And you obviously it's very intense between UNCW and Charleston. And it was this way at Trask too. Like I said earlier, you could not hear the person beside you both places. So I mean, when that place is packed out, it's a great place to play. So I'll give them a little bit of credit, but I'll close on saying that there's nothing like Trask Coliseum. I think you'd agree with me on that.
That's what I was about to say. Like, it's hard to answer this question because, like, I'm not even being biased. Like, I'm not joking. I'm not like just saying this 'cause I played there. Like, nothing gets louder than Trask. Like, I can't hear calls. I can't hear certain things. I can't hear teammates that are 2 feet away from me.
Yeah.
That never happened in any other arena. Like, I was completely fine. I could hear calls. I could hear things being echoed out. But in Trask, that's why it's kind of hard for me to think about it because like when Trask gets packed and people show out, there's nothing like it.
I agree. So I'm gonna let you give your spiel. I'm gonna let you promote because you got your T-shirt on. If those that don't know, my man Jaylen Fornes has his own brand, his own clothing line. So tell me about as we close here. I know I keep saying we're closing, we're closing, we're closing. Tell me about Stack Your Days really quick.
So it was an idea I had coming into my senior year, and it was something that I was just kind of brainstorming on. I didn't think that I would uh, really do it because it's when you're creating things, it's kind of scary to put your thought and show it to the public. But yeah, when I first created it, I just kind of created the shirt, and I didn't want to. I didn't promote it or anything. I just kind of wore it, and then it gradually, like my teammates supported me, and then kind of word got around. So I started to make a few sales, and I started to think about what it really could be. But basically, it's based off of this mentality that I've been able to create over my basketball career. I don't know if well, you definitely don't know this, but since high school, I've had 11 head coaches. That's including my professional career. So you got to think about how many assistants that is. This is like maybe like we're talking 30 to 40 coaches that are feeding me information. And I
Yeah.
never had a coach, even from freshman year of high school, longer than 2 years. So I never was able to develop like a personal relationship with a coach. Um, well, I had personal relationships, but not like an extended
Yeah.
amount to where like we know each other like the back of our hands, and I know what he's thinking, he's know what I'm thinking. But there was a lot of information that was fed to me over these years, and I just developed like a mentality of like grinding and I took things from specific coaches, and there's a lot of different ways to win, and there's a lot of different routes to success. My route was just continuing to stack my days. So developing like successful habits, whatever I figured that was for me. Everybody's is different. So uh, with the brand, I don't want it to be like you're wearing the shirt that says stack your days. It's a representation of what you do. So if you're wearing the shirt, it's not, or if you're wearing the brand, it's not, you know, if someone was to ask you like, what does that mean? I don't want you to tell them what stack your days means. I want you to tell them like what you're doing. What are you doing to show what your habits are? How are you trying to reach success? And my target audience would be athletes, just because like I resonate. That's where I come from. But it could be for anybody, you know, a stay-at-home mom, someone that goes to a 9 to 5, someone that wants to provide for their family. Anybody can wear it. Somebody that's trying to lose weight, somebody that's trying to find a diet. It's just continuing to remind yourself that, you know, keep those habits in the same area that got you to where you are. You know, tomorrow's not promised. You only have the day that you have. So, you know, sit in that day, keep instilling those habits. And, you know, once you know, a while from now, when you look up, you'll see where you are. You might have a contract in your face, or you might have dropped 100 pounds, and you might have got that raise that you were looking for. So that's kind of like the mentality of what it's about and where it came from.
Consistency,
persistency, and keep your head, you know, stay disciplined through whatever it is you're doing, and keep stacking them days on top of each other. I mean, even the days you don't want to do it. One of my old teammates told me, Ambrose Mosley, and it stuck with me for my life. He probably doesn't remember it, but like, the days you don't want to do it are the days you really get better. So that stuck with me, and that's kind of what I want people to embody.
So if people want to see you, if they want to see your products, if they want to buy something, where can they find you?
Stackyourdays.net. I got the Instagram page as well. It's just Stack Your Days. I'm in a bit of a transition process of building my brand. You know, I like when I first came out, I was learning the business, and something big for me now is like quality fabrics, stuff that's not going to shrink, things that you can wear out and about every day, where you don't have to worry about it being bad quality. Wash as much as you want, it stays the same. And so, you know, I just been learning that side of the business and things like that. So yeah, that's something I take pride in, is, you know, what the quality of product that you're gonna be wearing is.
All right, well, you heard it here first, folks. Go check him out and give him a look. It is, hey, I mean, 10 years from now, you're gonna see everybody wearing, every athlete. You know, you're gonna see people walking. We're gonna see your grandma walking down the street wearing a Stack Your Day shirt. I believe it.
Let's speak that into existence, man.
Because you know why? Because Fornes is going to stack his days and make it happen. You know what I mean? Like, but hey, man, an incredible pleasure talking to you. Always love talking to you, man. And wish you the very best of luck moving forward. Happy for you and Bailey and your new job moving forward. So yeah, man, always good to talk to you. I hope we can have you on again, because it's a pleasure talking to you always.
Sure, bro. It's my pleasure, and congratulations on your new gig. And your transition to Raleigh. I hope everything goes well. And don't let this podcast be the only place that we're talking to each other.
Oh, 100%. It won't be. All right, man. Thank you so much.
All right, bro.
Thank you for joining us this week on Somehow We Manage. I'm so grateful for those of you who do watch. As always, please be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends if you like what you saw today. It helps us reach a lot of people, and it helps us grow. And we greatly appreciate those of you that have been helping this thing grow. And as always, a huge thank you to Mr. JR Quitman for helping us out and making this thing so beautiful. So thanks to you, JR, as always. And a big thank you to Jaylen Fornes for coming on today. A great guy, great ball player, a hard worker, but an even better person, and continue to wish him the best of luck. No, he'll continue to do great things. So thank you again for watching with us. We'll see you next time.